Welcome to r/Payback. My name's Alex. I'm 38, and I've been married to my wife, Jenna, who's 36, for 12 years. We have 2 kids, ages 9 and 7, and until recently, I thought we had a pretty solid life. Not perfect, but stable. We've seen our share of challenges over the years, but I always believed that love and commitment were enough to pull through anything. That's why I'm still in a daze, even writing this. I never expected to be this guy, the one scrolling Reddit at 2 a.m., trying to make sense of how his life turned upside down. I never thought I'd be questioning my sanity, wondering if I missed something, if it was all fake, or if I was just too blind to see it. Because now I know. My wife has been sleeping with someone. Not just anyone, our couples therapist. And I'm the idiot who suggested we go see him. The problems didn't start overnight. It was a slow drift, subtle. At first, we were just tired. Work stress, parenting, lack of quality time, it all piled up. But then the silence stretched longer, the laughter came less often, and conversations felt more like negotiations. We started snapping at each other over the smallest things. Who forgot to take out the trash? Why I was late coming home? Why she didn't answer her phone. Little things that became big because they were stacked on top of deeper resentment neither of us wanted to talk about. Sex stopped, too. Not abruptly. It just fizzled until it became awkward. Like we were roommates playing house. I was the one who brought up therapy. I told her, if we're going to fix this, we need help. To my surprise, she agreed. We searched together online and landed on someone who looked experienced and professional, Dr. Daniel S. He had great reviews and a calming voice even through the introductory video. I booked the first appointment. Part of me really believed it would help us, that maybe having a third party would push us to say the things we were afraid to tell each other. Now I look back and wonder if that was the biggest mistake of my life. Our first session with Dr. Daniel felt surprisingly warm. He had this calm, collected energy about him, the kind of voice that made you lean in a little when he spoke. Not too formal, but not too casual either. Just enough to make you feel like you were being heard, like he genuinely cared. We each talked about our frustrations. I admitted that I'd felt like a ghost in my own house. Jenna said she felt unappreciated and emotionally shut out. Dr. Daniel didn't take sides. He nodded, rephrased our statements back to us, and helped us focus on communicating without attacking. Honestly, it felt like a breakthrough. We walked out of that first session lighter than we'd gone in. For the first time in a long time, I felt hope. But as the weeks went by, I started noticing little things that made me pause. Jenna seemed different around him, more open, more emotionally present, like she lit up when he spoke. She started dressing nicer on therapy days, makeup, perfume, a new top I hadn't seen before. She laughed at his jokes, even the dry ones. Sometimes I'd look over and catch her watching him a little too long. I tried to brush it off, told myself I was being paranoid. This was therapy. Maybe this is how healing looks. Maybe I was just uncomfortable because I wasn't used to someone else being in the middle of our mess. But something didn't feel right. And soon, I wouldn't be able to ignore it anymore. About 2 months into therapy, Jenna brought up the idea of doing some individual sessions with Dr. Daniel. She said it was for her own mental health, something about needing a space to untangle her thoughts without me in the room. I didn't object. If anything, I was glad she wanted to take initiative. She told me, "It's just for self-care. I'll be better for us if I can work on myself." At first, I didn't think much of it. She'd go once or twice a week, and I'd stay home with the kids. But slowly, strange things started to pop up. She stopped calling him Dr. Daniel, and started referring to him as Danny in conversation. Just casually. Danny said I need to be more assertive, or Danny really helped me think about my goals. It felt off, too familiar. Then she stopped sharing her appointment times. I'd ask, "Hey, when's your session this week?" And she'd brush it off with, "I'll figure it out. It's flexible." Sometimes she'd come home dressed up, freshly showered, and say nothing about what they discussed. Still, I told myself to trust her. We were in therapy to save our marriage. If I couldn't trust her during that, what was the point? But that unease kept growing, like I was on the outside of something they were building together, something that didn't include me. The shift in our joint therapy sessions was subtle at first. Dr. Daniel started focusing more on me, what I wasn't doing, what I should be doing better, what Jenna needed from me. I get it. Therapy involves accountability. But this felt lopsided. He'd gloss over things Jenna said, like when she admitted she sometimes avoided me emotionally, but he'd drill into me over one careless comment I made 2 weeks ago. After one session, I walked out feeling like I'd just survived a courtroom cross-examination. Jenna didn't say a word on the ride home. She just stared out the window, like she wasn't even there with me. Week after week, I was the problem. Jenna, she was finding her voice. She was exploring herself. I was controlling, unintentionally invalidating, unwilling to change. What bothered me the most wasn't the criticism. It was how in sync the two of them were. Their language started to mirror each other's. Sometimes it felt like they were having an entirely separate conversation that I couldn't decode. At home, Jenna grew colder. She stopped sitting near me on the couch. Our texts were dry. Intimacy became non-existent. I'd kiss her on the cheek, and she'd flinch like it was an accident. I started to feel like a third wheel in my own marriage, like the therapist wasn't just guiding us. He was replacing me. One Thursday night, Jenna said her sister had an emergency and needed her to come over right away. It was almost 9:30 p.m., and she was already in pajamas. But suddenly she was in the shower, doing her hair, putting on makeup, and spritzing on perfume like she was going on a date. I asked, "You're going to your sister's? This late?" She nodded, rushing as she tied her hair back. "Yeah, Jenny's freaking out about her boyfriend again. I might stay the night if it gets bad." Something about it didn't sit right. I waited until she left, then sat there in the living room staring at the front door. 5 minutes passed, then 10. I opened the Find My iPhone app, something we'd set up years ago when we first had kids. Her location? Dr. Daniel's office, a private building on the far side of town. My stomach dropped. I waited 3 hours. She came back around 1 a.m., looking flushed and out of breath. I asked how her sister was doing. "Oh, you know Jenny, total drama queen. I think she just needed to vent." I stared at her. She didn't even blink. No guilt, no hesitation. She kissed me on the cheek, told me she was exhausted, and went straight to bed. That was the night everything changed. I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark, watching her chest rise and fall, wondering who the hell was lying next to me. And for the first time in my life, I didn't believe a single word that came out of her mouth. The night after that, I couldn't stop thinking. Something had to be wrong. There was no other explanation. I decided to dig deeper. It started with her email. She'd always used one main address, but suddenly there was a new Yahoo account I'd never seen before. I managed to reset the password through some forgotten password trick and logged in. That's when the nightmare began. There was a second Facebook account linked to that email, under a fake name. Not Jenna's, but something close enough to fool anyone who didn't know her well. I hesitated, then clicked on the messages. They were explicit. Filthy texts back and forth with a guy using a fake name but referencing times and days that matched Jenna's solo therapy sessions perfectly. "Can't wait to see you again after your session," one message read. Another said, "Come over and taste it again." I felt sick. The tone was intimate and personal, far from anything that should be happening with a therapist. The language was full of private details only someone close would know. The more I read, the clearer it became. This was Danny, Dr. Daniel himself. I was crushed. The man we trusted to save our marriage was the one breaking it apart. The worst part? Jenna was hiding it right under my nose. I spent hours scrolling through the messages, piecing together a secret I never wanted to know. That night, I broke down. I sat on the floor of the living room, phone in hand, staring at the screen like it would explode. Disbelief hit me first. How could this be real? How could Jenna, the woman I'd loved and trusted for over a decade, betray me like this? I felt sick. My throat was tight, my hands shook. I wanted to scream, to cry, but all that came out was silence. I started taking screenshots, making a timeline of her sessions and the messages. Every detail I could gather. I wanted proof, for myself, for the day I'd have to face her. The humiliation was crushing. I felt like the fool in a bad movie, the husband who didn't see the signs. At the same time, confusion tangled up inside me. Was it all just about sex? Was it emotional? How long had this been going on? And worst of all, did she love me anymore? I lay awake for hours, trapped between anger and heartbreak. I hated them both, but most of all, I hated the fact that this secret had been living in our house, right next to me. I knew I needed evidence, something undeniable. So I told Jenna I was leaving town for work, an important client proposal. That would take me away until Monday. She looked disappointed, but didn't ask questions. Before I left, I set up 3 hidden cameras, one in the living room, one in the kitchen, and one in our bedroom. I wanted to catch any proof of what was really going on when I wasn't home. I stayed at my brother's place, watching the feeds on my phone obsessively. Every movement, every sound was recorded. I was terrified. Terrified that I'd catch them, terrified that I wouldn't. It felt like waiting for a bomb to explode. I kept replaying all the moments, the lies, the silence, the strange nights. When would it end? And how much worse would it get before I finally faced the truth? Watching the footage sent a cold shock through me. There she was, Jenna, nervously fixing her hair and putting on perfume late at night. The same night I had tracked her iPhone to Dr. Daniel's office. And then, at almost midnight, the doorbell rang. A man entered. I couldn't see his face clearly, but the posture, the way Jenna's body language changed, it was him. The visits continued over the next few days, always when I was away. She'd greet him with a mix of excitement and guilt, something I never expected to see. One night, she even checked the camera in the bedroom before closing the door behind him. I rewound the footage over and over, searching for any doubt, any explanation. There was none. The final piece was undeniable. A brief moment caught on the living room camera. Jenna and the man embraced intimately, a touch and a kiss that said everything without words. I felt my chest tighten, the truth burning hot inside me. It was happening. It had been happening. Dr. Daniel, the man we trusted, was sleeping with my wife. I scheduled one last couples therapy session. When we sat down, I looked Jenna in the eye and asked, cold and direct, "Are you sleeping with Dr. Daniel?" She didn't hesitate. "Yes," she said, voice calm, almost indifferent. I felt the world tilt. No shame, no guilt, just a strange blankness. The therapist, Dr. Daniel, sat quietly, his usual confidence replaced by awkward defensiveness. When I confronted him, he claimed professional boundaries and misunderstandings, but it was clear he was lying. Jenna's calmness felt like salt in a fresh wound. The room, once meant for healing, was now a battlefield. I realized then that everything I thought was real was a lie. Both of them had betrayed me. I left the session immediately, my heart pounding like never before. That night, I contacted a lawyer. Divorce proceedings began almost instantly. I felt numb as I signed the papers, but underneath it all was a fierce determination, not just to end the marriage, but to make sure this didn't happen to anyone else. I filed a formal ethics complaint against Dr. Daniel with the state licensing board. It felt like a small victory, but an important one. How could someone in his position abuse the trust of his clients like this? At home, I started the painful process of untangling years of shared life. The kids, the memories, the broken promises, they all weighed heavily on me. Some days I was angry and bitter, other days completely lost and devastated. But slowly, I began to find clarity. This betrayal was not my fault, and while the road ahead was uncertain and painful, I knew I had to fight for a new beginning, for myself and for my kids. The hardest part was accepting that sometimes the people you trust the most are the ones who hurt you deepest. After everything, I sat alone and tried to process the storm inside me. The betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was toxic. I felt disgusted realizing I had been unknowingly paying for the very affair that shattered my marriage. How long had it been going on? Weeks? Months? The questions haunted me endlessly. Every session, every moment of trust I placed in Dr. Daniel now felt like a cruel joke. I thought therapy was supposed to heal us, not tear us apart. The rage bubbled under the surface, mixing with sadness and disbelief. I hated that the person I trusted most, the one supposed to help us, was the one who caused the most damage. I wondered how Jenna justified her actions, how Dr. Daniel could call himself a professional. But beneath the anger there was a painful clarity. I had to reclaim my life. I couldn't let their lies define me. This rage, as raw as it was, became fuel to push forward. I promised myself I'd find strength in this pain, learn to trust again, and rebuild what was broken, starting with myself. I confided in a few close friends and family members, seeking support in the darkest moments. The reactions were a mix of shock, disbelief, and anger. Many told me they had seen warning signs, odd comments, secretive behavior, but never imagined it would come to this. Word spread quietly, and soon the therapist's clinic began to face backlash. Some former clients came forward with similar stories, others chose to leave quietly. The community's trust in Dr. Daniel quickly eroded. It was strange and painful to see how deeply this betrayal affected not just me, but others who had believed in him. Friends offered comfort, advice, and a shoulder to lean on. Their support became a lifeline. Though the pain was mine to bear, I realized I wasn't alone. Writing this post was both difficult and cathartic. I'm still angry. How could I not be? But I'm also gaining clarity and a sense of control over my story. Healing won't be quick or easy, but I believe it's possible. My message to anyone reading this: trust your gut. If something feels off, don't ignore it, even if it's your therapist. Red flags exist for a reason. You deserve honesty, respect, and genuine care. No one should feel betrayed by the person meant to guide them through their hardest times. I hope my story helps others recognize warning signs early. For me, this is the beginning of a new chapter. One where I rebuild trust, first in myself, then with those who truly deserve it. Though the road is painful, I'm determined to move forward, stronger and wiser. Thank you for listening. That wraps up today's episode of r/payback. If you enjoyed the ride, don't forget to subscribe for more epic stories.